David Settle alongside Laramie head coach Clint Reed as we get set for a big showdown between the 5th-ranked Plainsmen and the 2nd-ranked Cheyenne East Thunderbirds at Okie Blanchard Stadium in Cheyenne. Friday night, it's a 6 o'clock kickoff. Just remember that. You can listen to the game on KOWB. That's AM 1290 on your radio. Coach, you're ranked this week, coming off a big comeback. One half looked good. The other half looked, well, not so good, to put it mildly. How do you build off the second half comeback and continue this positive momentum, winning 3 of your last 4, do you think?
You know, the kids, like we've talked about before, coming off losses, they've had some perseverance to come back and get a win. At the same time, had about a half, be able to come back and put it together and be able to create a win. And it's not always happened for us in the last few years, off and on. It's a good bunch of kids, good senior leadership. They've directed a lot of stuff, and the locker room wasn't about craziness or anything like that. It was just about focus, focus, focus.
You guys have won 3 games this early in the season for the first time in 13 years. I know you and I talked a lot about history because you always ask me some of these things, but it's been since 2005 that we've won 3 games this early. How big is that for this program in your 2nd year?
It's always nice to get wins. It's nice to get wins early. Keeps kids motivated. The grind in practice as the season goes and the sun's going down faster and the heat's going away and the cold air's coming in. So everything helps. It helps for this season. It also helps, with middle school and youth and those who are seeing hopefully some improvements in the program, some growth in the program is the way I'd like to see it.
Well, how do you build off this now as you get ready for a big showdown Friday night? And we'll talk about East in a moment, but how do you build off this in your mind?
When you start a season, you talk about goals, you talk about opportunities. And sometimes with some losses early on and things, it's hard to talk about what those opportunities are anymore. So as you're getting wins, okay, we have these goals, we have these opportunities now, and now, we got to, how do we sustain it? How do we keep it going? How do we reach those goals now that we've got some wins to put us in position to reach those goals?
It is a big ranked showdown in this week's WildPreps.com coaches and media football rankings, folks. Laramie's number 5 and Cheyenne East moved up to number 2 with their upset of top-ranked Natrona last week. So number 5 and number 2, what do the Thunderbirds look like? What do they kind of present in this matchup Friday night?
East is always very athletic. They're athletic all over the field, from linemen to running backs, receivers, DBs, linebackers. So, again, being disciplined, sticking to your rules and your fundamentals is going to help you progress through the game. Again, offensively, they look very much like us. A spread team, probably got a little better passer, but at the same time, they're a spread team, with the running back a little bit behind the quarterback there, but some counters, some zones. Defensively, look very much like the rest of the state with the 4-4 cover 3, or even us at times 4-3 with the cover 2. So Jason's going to have to see if single or double high, and passing game's coming around a little bit more, and we're going to have to lean on it because people are plugging up the A gaps and blitzing like crazy the last couple of weeks. So Jason's going to step up and make some plays for us.
And Cheyenne East never blitzes. Never. I've never seen that in my 10 years as the voice of the Plainsmen. Graydon Buell, you brought up him. He's the quarterback that transferred from Rock Springs, and his family moved to Cheyenne, so now he's at East. What type of challenges does that present your pass defense? We were ranked pretty high going into the Central matchup, but I thought their quarterback exposed some things. So what type of, how does he stress a defense with his ability to throw the ball pretty effectively?
Yeah, when you got a guy that can, pick and pop all over the field, you really just have to make sure your alignment's correct. You've got to make sure your communication is there. And we lost focus a little bit, looking at the Central game. With the penalties in the first half, the illnesses we had, procedure penalties, jumping off, communication, we just weren't there. So that's a big focus this week. Again, what's our alignments, what's our rules, how are we going to communicate so that those things don't happen Friday?
What do you think back to in your tenure as a football coach here in Laramie, most fondly on the East Laramie rivalry? Because we talk so much about the Central Laramie rivalry, and I know next week has kind of developed into a little bit of a chippy rivalry at times between Laramie and South. But what do you think about with the East Laramie rivalry?
It's tough. Just they're always, lately, they've kind of been a dominant team over there. They're very athletic. Coach Goff has got some good things going on with good personnel. So you always like to look at programs, how can you mirror those programs, what you can do to better your program. And at the same time, then you relish that opportunity and that challenge. So that's the school that you want to go after even more. We talk about the time history with Central, but right now the team that you're gunning for a little bit over in Cheyenne is East. You want to get a piece of them.
Well, they just come off that win against top-ranked Natrona. Good luck to you on Friday night.
Thank you, David.
6 o'clock kickoff, number 5 Laramie at number 2 Cheyenne East. And the Plainsmen trying to get their 4th win of the season. Basically, you get to 3 wins, you're more than likely in the playoffs. But you get to 4, you really cement yourself. And I know Coach Reed and this team have a lot of higher goals down the stretch run of the season. As Laramie finishes with 3 of their last 4 on the road in the regular season. All of them are 6 o'clock kickoffs. It starts Friday night at Okie Blanchard Stadium, number 5 Laramie at number 2 East. Join me for the broadcast. Coverage starts at 5 p.m. on KOWB for Laramie Plainsmen football.